right, so welcome to the How Others Win podcast, right? That's the longer version it stands for How, right? So here we are in New York City with the Booker DJ, right? And we did a whole day of content creation. You've been slaying every photo shoot possible, right? You had about 40 outfits.
I had about 40. Listen, you gotta maximize every moment you got.
Absolutely, absolutely. So clearly you have a lot of things coming, right? So let's just get right into it.
Okay.
Who are we talking to, listening to?
Hey, well, my name is Nurse Shea-Marie, and my name is also Siobhan, and I am a registered nurse for the past 12 plus years in New York State, and I'm just doing things for me now.
Nice. And so how old are you?
I am 40 years young.
Nice, me too.
Yeah.
First and foremost, let's toast to the 40s.
Toast to the 40s.
It's something about 40, right? Mm-hmm. When you reach that 40, it's really about you. Somebody always say, like, when you hit 40, it's all about 40 and fabulous. But when I started, I say when 39-ish, I say around about June, I just was really feeling like it's time for me, right? So at what point did you feel like just you?
Just me. Well, I want to say it was when I first had my first kid.
Okay. So
I have an 8-year-old son, and that's the first time I really started to focus on me, because I had somebody looking up to me. So it was no longer about, I don't know, it wasn't only just about me, but I had somebody that I was responsible for. So now I had a purpose, you know? So that was the first time, and I really started to not really care what people thought anymore. It was about what I wanted.
Absolutely. And so, although you say, you know what, let me focus on me, it was also me and my boy, or me and my daughter, right? I have an 8-year-old son as well. So my thing is, it still was hard, right, to put you first, because we as moms, we put our children first by any means necessary.
Absolutely.
Right? So how and when did you make that shift to say, and I know still, because he's only 8, right? How and when did you make that shift to say, you know what, I'm going to put me first, because, son, if mommy's not good, I can't do anything for you. So what does that look like for you?
What that looks like for me, and you see I'm like fidgety right now because it's complicated. You know, now I'm not just a mother of an 8-year-old, I'm a mother of 2. So I had my second born last year, and she's now 1. And she impacted me in so many ways.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. And I was talking to my mentor, Candace Holyfield, and Lillian from Dove Hydration. And when I was telling my story, I didn't realize how powerful that my journey has been. So, I was 2 months postpartum last year. And September rolled around, and a New York State registered nurse, New York was the first state that rolled out the mandate as far as a vaccine and continuing to work as a healthcare professional. And so being on maternity leave, you're protected federally. So that was the one reason that I was not terminated from work. Okay. And I am not anti-vax at all. I'm just pro-choice, right?
Absolutely.
And as a healthcare professional, you are a patient as well. I'm a patient, and patients have rights. Patients have rights to say no, even if it means the detriment of their own health, right? So, that one split decision that New York State made, it impacted so many people's lives.
Absolutely.
People were forced to make decisions for the sake of their family. They were forced to do things that they didn't want to do, religious-wise, medical-wise, and I was granted the grace to take time and think about it.
Absolutely.
So my maternity leave, I took a year, and right approaching that 1 year, God granted me a position where I did not have to take the vaccine.
Okay.
And so I had to step away from my dream job, working in labor and delivery. I was an L&D nurse for 9 years. Wow. And because of my own choice to choose my health, I chose another path, and my daughter gave me that.
Nice. Okay.
So that was another shift of me doing things for me.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about your dream job. Before you obtained the dream job, why was it your dream job?
So nursing is not my first career. It's my second degree. Growing up, I did what I was supposed to do. Right, my parents divorced when I was 6, and my mom was a hard worker, and I basically did things to make her proud. So whatever she wanted me to do, that's what I did. And when people do that, you basically dim your own light. You don't know who you are or what you do. You are basically fulfilling somebody else's prophecy. So her prophecy was to go to school, do the right thing, get a great job. And so I went to college. And when I went to college, the degree I chose because of a class I took in high school, which was psychology. And I'm a people person. I love people. I love helping people. So my first degree was psychology. And coming out of school, I was overqualified.
Okay.
Right? I worked in social work, and that's where I got my thick skin. I learned about people. And me growing up, I didn't know I was sheltered. You know, I went to private school all my life, from kindergarten straight through college. I'm a alumni of Hampton University.
Yes.
The real HU, all right? And and you know why I say that. But you know, I did things to please my parents, my mom, and you know, I'm on a tangent right now. I don't even remember what I was saying.
No,
right?
It's okay. So you was pleasing your mom.
Yeah.
You was in school. You took psychology, and you decided to take that as a major as well.
Right. So I worked as a social worker.
Yes.
I work with people who didn't even graduate high school, you know. And that was cool, but I learned about people, and I learned about what people go through. And so it gave me tough skin. It made me able to work with any walk of life of people. And so when I came back to New York, I worked from the streets. I worked with street homeless. I worked with people in the shelter system. Right down the street from here, I was a case manager with people who were couples, not really couples. And I was working with a DJ, and I was like, you know, my population I work with are the people right now that you see on the street. You know, and so to connect with those people in an intimate situation where you could actually find out their story. How did you get here? What brought you to the situation? And I was basically bringing them to services, because when you walk by somebody like that, you're like, most people don't even look at them. They are the overlooked, right? And so in social services, you're there and you help them to connect, to get to the next level. But I felt unfulfilled. Like, I would drop people off, and there was one particular client, we drove him to the hospital, and in the van taking him there, his leg cracked open, and maggots fell out. And so we took him to the hospital, and the nurses, they embraced him with open arms. Nobody snooted their nose at him. They put him in a shower. They did what they had to do to take care of this man. And this man was really what they call MICA, mentally ill, chemically abuser. And so it was amazing to see people not overlook someone and help, right? And so another reason what brought me into nursing, I then worked in a pregnant female shelter, single females, pregnant. And as a case manager, there were a lot of things that came up. And I just knew that women was my niche. I just knew it. So in that job is when I actually got accepted into nursing school. My mom actually retired. She moved to Atlanta, and she wanted me to come with her. And I was like, well, I'll apply. I applied for jobs in my field, and no one called.
Okay.
So I said, well, I got into nursing school. So you want me to be there with you broke? Or I can help you as a nurse, right? So I got into nursing school, and I worked full time. Okay. I put myself through nursing school, which I'm very proud of. Nursing school is not easy. There's one nurse that I did a training with. She's also an attorney, and she said, if you can do nursing school, you can do law school. Law school is the least of your worries when it comes to nursing school. You learn the sciences, and most people are scared of it, right? But me, I was actually pretty smart in school. I just didn't apply myself a lot. Okay. I had great grades, and I could have did better. You know, I just didn't have to do much to get good grades, but I could have got better. And I think I did that for a long time.
But how old were you when you applied for nursing school?
I was 26 or 28.
Okay. So it was different from, 18 versus 26. You had not only the internal desire, but that internal desire was motivated from your hands-on experiences, right? So when you went through the ER, traveling in the van with the homeless person, right? Would you say that was the first time you actually witnessed people being genuine?
Yeah. It really was. It's amazing because I got to nursing in a strange way. There were things that I learned in life is to say never to say never. And the first thing I said in college, my first degree, I told my college roommate. She was a nursing major, and she would tell me about the things that she did in clinical. And I said, oh, I would never do that.
Wow.
I would never wipe somebody's ass. You're right.
Wow.
Then I said, I would never work in ACS.
What's ACS?
Adult, what is it? Where social workers take children from people's families who are being abused or whatever. Okay. Funny thing, life laughs in your face and says, okay, we're going to see. Yes. I ended up working in adult protective services. Okay. The absolute opposite, same work. Wow. And I was pushed into it because the contract I was working under, they lost their contract, but I was with the same company, and I got placed into APS. So it's the same thing. It's adults, just not the children. Interesting. So I said never to nursing. I ended up being a nurse. I said no to ACS and ended up working in APS. And that was the last job I did before nursing. So do you have a t-shirt with that on your, because that is part of your brand. I do have a t-shirt. Nice. Never say never? It's not that, but it should be. Yeah. You gotta collab on that. It's okay. Hold on. Toast to the collab. Hey, toast to the collab. Absolutely. Yes. Definitely never say never, because the universe will give it right back to you. I do have a t-shirt line coming out, and it's basically it says whatever you do in private is your business. And it's a play on a few words. Yes, I like that. So working as a labor and delivery nurse, I'm in those intimate moments with families. They're bringing life into the world, and now working in OBGYN, I'm just all around women's health, right? Anything about the V, I know. Yes, absolutely. So, what was I saying? Wow, it's so crazy because that's another that's another t-shirt, but it stuck out for me, right? You already know, and you said it yourself. Working with the homeless population, you experience a lot of things. One of the things that, captivated your attention was stories, right? So stories are very impactful, regardless if it propels you to be rich or poor. Yeah. So that's why I'm a huge fan on telling your story, which is the reason why for me, the podcast is just like, seriously, I call myself the business bitch because I have some extensive business experience as well. Yeah. Very similar to yours, right? Like you said, your 8-year-old was the reason for you, your 1-year-old was the reason for you pivoting, and then your 8-year-old also contributed to your life as well. Just quickly, my 8-year-old was the reason why I opened up my first dream business, right? So at the end of the day, like you said, our children just do a lot of things for us, just as well as stories. Yeah. Stories impact the world, whether you're going to be rich or you're poor, right? So I just want to go back to the story that you heard from the homeless man, right? What made him be in a position that you can remember? Well, that one wasn't able to tell his story. His story was very unique. He was so mentally ill that he didn't even know his social security number. He didn't know his real name. And it was real hard to get him services because everything is based off your social and your date of birth and so if you're so gone mentally, you can't help yourself. Absolutely. All right, so your experience working in labor and delivery, right? Would you say that contributed to your today? Yeah, so I followed my passion. I didn't even know it was my passion. You hear a voice and somehow subconsciously you just follow, right? And for a long time, I thought I was lost. Like, I didn't know me. I didn't know what I wanted. You get to a point where you reach a certain age and you figure like, okay, society says I should be in a relationship. I should have kids. I should be married, But really, you don't have to do those things. There is no timeline on anything. And you get to a point where you wake up and you're like, well, what do I want? What do I like? Nice. Right? And that's amazing that I say that now because sometimes in a relationship, talking about relationships and marriage, you kind of lose yourself. And you kind of lose yourself when you have children too. Because as women, we serve. And we survive. We survive, but we also suffer. Yes. We suffer in silence. Yep. and our voice gets dimmed. And so one thing I am coming out with is my voice matters. And that's something that I struggled with this past year, because with my daughter, I had severe postpartum depression. And it's crazy because in that 6-week follow-up visit to my OBGYN, I was okay. He was like, "Oh, you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But for the most part, people have issues and they just cover it with a smile until you can't hide it no more.
Right.
So there were days I was home and I would just cry. I didn't know why I was crying. And so, the pandemic impacted it even more. Then my livelihood was being threatened. And here I am with a newborn, and it's supposed to be happy, Even coming into labor and delivery. As a student, I was following my passion, saying I want to work with women, and L&D is my dream job. Wanted to be a midwife. And after that student experience, everything in L&D is not happy, and a lot of people don't realize that. Some healthcare professionals don't even respect the L&D nurse. They think that we play with babies all day, like it's a doll and it's crying. No, baby. Wow. No. So even after that summer experience, where I've experienced people who had losses, stillborns, full-term delivery that were, it's deep, right?
Yep.
I knew that I was there for the women. Very complicated and very intimate situation to be in. And I know I may touch a lot of people on this topic, but when you have a calling, it doesn't take you from that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're there to serve. So I serve women, and even now in OBGYN, I'm a telephone triage nurse, and I hear the stories and the passion and the struggles of women on a daily basis. And it's women who, once they become sexually active, they're in the OBGYN. And that could be any age. It could be 13, it could be 18. All the way up to patients that are 80. And they have their own unique issues, But one thing is common with all women. And we all want to have amazing sex.
Yeah.
So I tell all my patients I love my job. I love my job. And they say, "Why?" I get to talk about sex every day, all day. Now that's one thing that 40 brought out of me is wanting to be closer and to know myself.
Okay.
And like I said, growing up, I didn't necessarily know me, even in sexual encounters, a lot of women just please the man. And a lot of women fake orgasms. And it's not to bash men, because sometimes men don't know what they're doing, right? So what are we doing out here? We playing or what? Are we in this to enjoy it, right?
Right. So you said there's levels to it.
It's levels.
It's levels, and you found those levels.
I found the levels trying to find me, and actually, crazy to start about just now. I had my first encounter with a vibrator in nursing school.
Okay. A vibrator in nursing school. Wow.
Yes, okay. I was not in a relationship anymore.
Okay.
It was a long-term relationship that ended, and dating, you can date several people, and dating means not necessarily having sex with everybody. Dating is getting to know people. People don't just jump into marriage because you dated one person, now you want to get married. I mean, some people that happens, but dating is important. You get to learn yourself, you get to learn about other people and what you want, what you like, and what you're going to have in a relationship in the future.
Absolutely.
So, crazy enough, I was just with a friend. We went to somebody's birthday party, and they had a pleasure party.
Okay.
And I happened to win a vibrator from a game with bananas.
Okay.
Right? And I just became competitive. I don't know. I was not the person who was into oral sex.
Okay.
But I just wanted to win.
Okay.
And the game was who can deep throat the banana without breaking it.
Wow.
That's not hard.
Wow.
Okay? Your gag reflex, just suppress it. So I won this vibrator.
The accent just came out. Where you from?
New York.
Okay.
Boogie down Bronx. Okay, born and raised. And so I won this bullet. Big ups to the bullet. And I tell you, when I took it home, that was the best experience in life. First orgasm in 0.5 seconds.
Wow.
Never experienced before in any sexual encounter with a man. And so you get to know what your body likes.
Right. Wow.
So, here we go. We're going down a long road with this question, right?
We got time. We in Brooklyn. Shout out to DJ. He got us on Times Square, Manhattan, in this dope behind. Okay. I was about to go there. In this dope loft. We got time, okay? Because he is bougie and he's the baddest in the game, okay?
Yeah, so getting to know yourself is a journey. And I would say that that vibrator, it changed the game for me. Okay. It did. So it's good though to introduce into a relationship. Okay. Now I know I was answering the question and I don't think I answered it completely.
Yeah, you did. But here's the thing. Okay. Your vibrator became your best friend, right? So then let's talk about that. You were saying you got to know you because sometimes we fake it, you know, whatever. Sometimes we don't know, right? There's levels to it, right? Yeah. So once you started incorporating this new friend into the bedroom, because you was dating at the moment, right?
Dating.
So what did that look like when you met the next boo? You're like, you know what?
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's get into that.
Well, I was selfish with it because, you know, when you're dating, you don't necessarily want to, I don't know, it depends on the relationship with people. Okay. And so if it's just superficial, it's superficial, you know. Okay. If it's not, you're not getting what you need, then you go get what you need. Okay. Yeah. All
right. So probably pre and post type vibe. Yeah. Okay.
But I will say it's amazing when you can.
Yes.
Incorporate it in a relationship, and so I do in my marriage, and we are very open with one another, and he does not feel any kind of way.
Yes, because you talked about your husband. My husband, that you absolutely love so much.
Yes. So. Yeah, so we incorporate it in the bedroom because you have to spice up your relationships, you know, and being open to what one another likes is what keeps marriages truly happy. Yes. So that's one of my messages in my business, right? Is to save marriages. There are a lot of women that they cry victim. They cry victim about why their man cheats. And it's not giving them a pass at all. But we have a role too. You know, it's not a role just to lay on your back and say what you want, but we gotta keep up the spice. Gotcha. So I'm incorporating it in my business. Okay. I am not the average nurse. I am the private duty nurse, better known as Nurse Shea-Marie, and I am here to save marriages and relationships and get women to understand their feminine energy and to know themselves and also women's health.
Absolutely.
Right, so I will be rolling out a subscription box where women who are afraid to even go to the store and dibble and dabble in a toy, they can get it to their home in a private way and basically try out different things and see what they like.
Absolutely, per your recommendation, per your experience.
Per my experience.
At the end of the day, yep, that's what it's about.
Yep, and hitting 40 is where I really said, you know what, sometimes your libido isn't where it's supposed to be. And a lot of that happened from postpartum depression, you know. But we have responsibility to ourselves to be happy. Nice. So we serve other people, but what about us?
Yes. Tell the world where they can find you.
Well, you can reach me at www.nurseshea-marie.com. I am Nurse Shea-Marie on Instagram and soon to be on Facebook and YouTube. I'm the owner of Allure Ascension Beauty and Wellness, where I'll be helping women to understand their feminine goddessness, their vaginal health with steaming, spa parties, and sexual toys.
Cheers
to that.
Yes. That was so dope. I honestly,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Yo, that was episode 1. Like I could have.
I know.
Going. That was so dope.